Go love your own enemies. Don't be loving mine. My enemies are the theocratic fascists. I don't love them. I want to destroy them.
Child made in the image of God. Oh no, you're not. You're a faggot. And you can't join your church and you can't go to heaven. This is disgraceful. It's inhuman.
You know what never ceases to amaze me is how Christians seem to have this uncanny ability to crawl into the heads of people and know what they're thinking and know what they believe and know how much they know. It's amazing. They must have special psychic powers, psychic abilities given to them by God, because they just know. They know how much of the Bible you've read. They know how much you know of the Bible. They know how much you understand the Bible. Usually it's not very much. If your understanding of the Bible is at all contradictory to their understanding of the Bible, then you don't understand the Bible. But they do. Yeah. Even though their understanding of the Bible might be completely contradictory to hundreds, thousands of other Christians out there. They understand the Bible. But you don't, even though your understanding of it is different than theirs. Yeah. It's just amazing. Or, it's just... You don't know. You were never a Christian. Really? And you chronicled my entire life. You walked behind me and kept track of all the battles that I went through and all the times that I went to Jesus with my heartache and struggles and tried to seek his advice and his counsel and his support and his strength. Somehow they just know, even though they didn't actually walk. This thing is bothering me, this stupid tie. Anyway, I had some guy, I don't even remember, Mr. Music Man, whatever, asshole, sexist, pig, jerk. I call anybody who refers to me as hun. You're having an argument with someone, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and suddenly they're going, I'm sorry, hun, but... I hate it when men do that. It really pisses me off when men do that. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, but I'm a man and you're a woman, and I'm going to put that hun word out there as a subtle reminder to you that you're really just inferior to me because you're not a man, you're a woman. And of course, being a man, I'm right and you're wrong. That's what the hun thing is to me. It's the most patronizing thing. It's like trying to diminish my opinion or discredit me because pointing out, oh, this is a woman I'm talking to. Don't forget, she's a woman. What can she know, right? Anyway, he used the hun word. He invoked the hun word. And to me, that's the most, ugh. It's like, why do I even fucking bother trying to argue with people who, oh, we're going to use the hun card now. Listen, sweetie. Dear. Look, dear. Do guys do that to other guys when they're arguing? Do they say, hey, sugar lumps? I don't even know what guys. Honey, I suppose. Hey, honey. No, it's only when guys are arguing with women that they do that. And I don't think I've ever in my entire lifetime heard a woman pull that number on a guy. Listen, honey. It's just a guy thing that guys do when they're arguing with women. And it's like, I'm the man. I'm the silverback in the jungle. Ho, 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 ho. Don't mess with me. Llamas, if they're facing off, the one that raises his head higher is the superior. He's the strongest llama. So if you see llamas facing off, one of them will put their head higher. Nope, okay, well, my head's higher. Yeah, one of the things you do when you're handling llamas is if you want to be the superior llama, if you want to show authority over the one you're trying to, the other lama that you're trying to handle. You put your hands in the air and make yourself tall. I'm tall. Don't mess with me. I'm in charge of this llama herd. That's what llamas, that's my former mother-in-law raised llamas, and that's what she had to do. She was a short little person, and she'd go into the pen with the male llama, her stud, and he would be like all over her, and she put her hands in the air, and suddenly she had, you know, jurisdiction of that. She was in charge. Well, that's what guys do. Not all guys, of course. Stereotyping and putting people in boxes and generalizing is never a good thing. Lots of guys know better. But the ones that have, I don't know, maybe they have a confidence problem. Maybe they need to compensate somehow for something that's not quite. Anyway, those guys. Oh my goodness, I can't seem to get this woman to shut the fuck up, so I'm going to invoke the hun word. Oh, honey. Listen, honey. Listen, dear. Anyway, so this guy, Mr. Music Man, whatever his name is, I don't even remember how the gist of this conversation, but we were like having a conversation about animals having souls, and I told him that yes, if souls exist, which we have no way to know that they do. You know, but assuming for just a moment that such a thing as souls exist, we are animals, humans are. So it seems kind of stupid to assume that if the human animal has a soul, why wouldn't every other animal on the planet have a soul too? You know, that's my feeling. Oh, you know, and then somehow we got on the subject of heaven. Oh, I think I was saying that, on the subject of animals having souls, that because of some dreams that I've had and being next to my animals when I've had them put to sleep, and how they it's this 1 minute they're this beloved friend, child, companion to me, and the next minute, like in a blink of an eye, they're rendered into just a dead animal on the table. It's like something leaves their body, and it's like in just a split second, they I'm trying to think of the word, but it's like just the difference is just so big, and it's hard to say with words how 1 minute it's a living, breathing, beloved friend, and the next minute it's just a dead animal laying there, and you don't feel anything toward that corpse laying there because it's just a corpse. The thing that is so special, that you love so much, is gone. And so that experience of having that transition, there's the word, transition, has made me, wonder about the whole soul idea. So then I feel like my idea of if there is an afterlife, which I really can't fathom how there could be thinking, awareness, and intelligence after the brain dies. Because it's the brain that produces thoughts and memories and all these things. It's all stored in your brain. And your brain is meat. And so when your brain dies, it's really hard for me to imagine that you're still able to think without your brain. But then again, I'm just a little lowly creature, a little lowly human, and there's a lot of things that I can't imagine and I can't understand, and I never will. It doesn't mean it's not possible. So I don't completely close the door. Especially since I had the experience, I've had that experience of seeing this transition of my cats. They just go away, but it's just a body that's left. I love the book Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and my thought is if there's an afterlife, it's a place we all go to. It's not even a place, it's a transition. There's that word again. It's a transition. It's like stepping through a doorway into another realm, another existence, another dimension, and you continue on with your journey. And it happens to everybody, if this thing happens at all, which I highly doubt, but if it does, it happens to every living thing. Every living thing. And it doesn't require, it's not like an elitist club that you have to do this and this and this to be accepted into the club. It's not like that. Everybody gets there. Regardless of what they do with their life, everybody gets there. And then they move on. you know. So this guy, oh, that's the same thing as heaven. That's just another name for heaven. Really? So I'm not even allowed to have a different idea of what the afterlife is than you? If I even think the afterlife exists, it's heaven with a different name. Valhalla, is that the same thing as heaven? Are you just going to immediately claim jurisdiction of everybody, every other cult or religion's notions of the afterlife? You're just going to claim, oh, that's all heaven. Let's put the Christianity mark on everything. It's just another name for it. Yeah, no, it's not. Heaven, there's certain characteristics about heaven that are described. You know, I described. I think when I say the word described, I sound like Dracula. I think it's chapter 37, I have Terry go, Jürgen has described. It sounds like Dracula. So anyway, now I'm really conscious of when I say that word, I sound like Dracula. So yeah, there's definitely a description of heaven that at least I was raised with. You know, the pearly gates. And somebody stands at the pearly gates, lets you in, or maybe doesn't let you in, and it's all very beautiful, and maybe there's choirs of angels, and everybody gets a special mansion that Jesus he's preparing a place just for you. Yeah, special mansion, and you'll get to wear a crown on your head, and there'll be like a throne hall, and people will be worshiping, endlessly worshiping. Oh yes, God, you're so wonderful. On and on through all eternity, because gee, they have nothing else to do. And he's there. Oh yeah, give me some. I'm sorry, my ego hasn't been stoked enough. I need more worship. Give me more. Wow. To me, that sounds like hell. I'm sorry, but really, for all eternity? But yeah, that's the Christian thing of heaven. Oh, and you have to do this and this and this. You can't just go to heaven when you die because you exist. you have to meet all the qualifications to get into the club. Yes, it's a club, and we all have our noses in the air, and we're all so superior to everybody else. You are not a Christian, so you don't get to go into our club. You deserve to fry forever in hell, and we'll look down at you and go, too bad, so sad. You don't get to get in the club. I remember when I was a kid, we had a the house next to us, had a swimming pool, and I wasn't a friend of this girl who lived in that house, and she'd have every kid in the neighborhood over to swim in the swimming pool on the hot days of summer. And there I was in my backyard listening to the sounds of laughter and swimming and splashing, and I was desperately hot and miserable, and the grass was brown, and there was only one tree in the middle of our backyard. It was a nice tree. It was an apple tree, you know. It was a nice tree, but there was no, there's no signs of water as far as the eye could see. I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to be over there, and I wanted to feel welcome and acceptance and belong and get to enjoy that cool water. But I was not allowed because I didn't measure up. I didn't fit in with that group of people. I wasn't one of the popular kids. Yeah, that's the same kind of attitude that people in heaven, oh yes, well, you don't get to come in, you're not acceptable. You've done too many things with your life that are just questionable activities, so we just don't want you, we won't admit you. I'm sorry, but that isn't my idea of heaven. That is not my idea of, I'm sorry, now I'm using the fucking word. That is not my idea of the afterlife. My idea of the afterlife, first of all, I don't really believe in it, but my thought is, if it exists, it's da-da-da-da-da. And I'm sorry, your fucking heaven is not the same thing as what I imagine. But this guy, oh yes it is, you're wrong, absolutely you're wrong. And I know, it's like, you don't know what I imagine the afterlife to be. You can't crawl into my head and say, well, this is what you think. What you think is really what I think. You just don't know it. Or you're just giving it a different word. No, I think I'm entitled to have my own separate beliefs and my own separate ideas of what things might be like after death. I think I'm entitled to that. And you don't get to come along and say, oh no, it's the same thing, dear hun. So anyway, I just kind of feel cranky. Oh, and then we have Ed Wellington, who is the new and improved Mega Sage 007, telling me that I don't know my Bible. And then he's quoting sentences from the fiction book at me. You don't know your Bible. I don't. And you know this how? Crawled into my head, did you? Kind of gross when you think about it. Yeah, I wouldn't want to crawl into my head. It's just kind of icky. But yeah, you don't know what I know and what I don't know. Actually, I think I do know the Bible because I've read it all the way through. A lot. I won't say a lot. A lot is an exaggeration. I've read it through as a Christian a couple times. But I was looking at it through the God glasses, only, really looking at the important warm and fuzzy bits. As an atheist, I went through it again with objective sight and looked at it all and looked at the not so warm and fuzzy bits. Have you, Ed? How do you know what I know and what I don't know? You never were a Christian. Oh, really? And you are? That's the thing. Christians walk around and say that to other people. You never were a Christian. You're not a real Christian. And you are? Because, 8 years ago or so, I was one of those people. I was a real Christian. And I looked at other people. Oh, you're not really. Mormons aren't really Christians. Catholics aren't really Christians, although I never said that because I knew better. But yeah, the whole idea, if you don't believe the way I do, you're not really a Christian. And you think you are, really. One day when you discover something in a book or hear something from somebody and it eats you alive and you can't sit still because it really bothers you, so you go in search of some information to try to prove it's wrong, but instead you find out it's true, and suddenly you have trouble believing. Even though you've believed your whole life, suddenly you're having a whole lot of trouble believing. So then you're desperately looking around for anything to show that all that time that you believed, you were believing in something that was true, that you just assumed was true all those years. You just assumed it was true. Oh my God, was it really true? And you go looking because now you're freaking out. Oh my gosh, just seeing that. And then you find out more information and more information and more information showing that it wasn't true. Were you really a Christian all those years that you really thought it was true? And you did all the things thinking it was true? Or, I guess I never was a Christian, because if I was a Christian, I would never have ever questioned anything. I never would have researched anything to find out. Because real Christians don't do that. Real Christians don't actually think things through. They don't ever question. They just blindly believe. That's what they're encouraged to do too. Isn't it a coincidence? Isn't it a coincidence that that Christians are encouraged to just blindly believe and have faith? Don't question it. If it makes no sense, just believe it anyway. Because it's so true. It's the truth with a capital T. And you better not question it, because then you won't be a real Christian. And you won't get to go to heaven, that place where you have to do this and this and this and this to get through the front door. Sorry, my idea of the afterlife is a open to everybody kind of idea. Yeah. It just happens. Like birth just happens. There's no little things you have to do to get born. You just get born. That's kind of what my idea of an afterlife is. It just happens to everything. Everything that is possessing of a soul, assuming we have a soul. And there is no such thing as a bad place or a good place in the afterlife. You're going to go to the bad place because you did some bad things with your life. Everybody has done some bad things with their life. It's because we're humans. It doesn't mean we're sinners. It means we're human beings. And we just don't always do good things because that's just the nature of humanity. And when you go into the next dimension or the next whatever, assuming this thing even exists, you're still you without a brain, but you're still able to think somehow. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Carrying on the journey, hopefully learning from your mistakes. But anyway, so this is me having a rant. I really hate the attitude that Christians have. You don't know anything. Because you believe in a different interpretation of the Bible than I do, then you don't really know the Bible. If you don't believe the way I do, you don't know the Bible. I hate that. I hate the arrogance. I know everything. And you poor thing. You just think all those years of Bible studies, you just think you know. But I know everything, and my interpretation is true. So arrogant. You know, this fictional character, Jesus, talks about humidity. I don't think he actually preached about the weather. Humility. Is that a word that Christians even know? The whole thing about he who is the least will be the greatest. He who is the least. And yet every single time, every single Christian, or most every, we don't want to generalize, but most every single Christian I've run across on the internet, they don't want to be the least. They want to be better. They're better than you are. They're superior. They're in the club, you see. You poor little lost atheist. Don't you wish you were in the club too? But you can be. All you have to do is believe just the way they do. Yeah. Oh, but not those Christians over there. Don't believe like them because they're not really Christians. Or those Christians over there, don't believe like them either because they're not really Christians. Or all those guys over there, those Christians over there. Don't listen to them because they don't know either. They're not really Christians and they don't know their Bible like we do over here. Yeah, well, the real Christianity, please stand up. Okay, so this is me having a rant, but it feels really good sometimes. If you've been watching, thanks. Bye.
I am absolutely convinced that the main source of hatred in the world is religion. And I think it should be religion treated with ridicule and hatred and contempt.
Share the same weather, winter or summer, May or September, the 4th of whenever, it's better together. Let's get together. Home is where